Constitutional Clayton here. Thanks for listening in. The governor in my home state of Mississippi has issued an executive order. Are we seeing state nullification starting to happen? This executive order was to restate the power of the Mississippi Constitution, which protects our state's power to control education. Governor Phil Bryant issues Common Core related executive order, but doesn't block enactment. And this is from the AP, but I'm showing you where I got this from. Governor Phil Bryant has issued an executive order that says the state and not the federal government will set academic standards for Mississippi schools. Governor Bryant said Monday that Mississippi would not give up its right to set the curriculum and the standards for its public schools. And this is a quote from Bryant. "We have made tremendous progress in enacting improvements in our public education system, and we will continue pursuing what works for Mississippi children." A spokesperson for Bryant told the Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal that the executive order does not block the enactment of Common Core. Well, let's talk about it. Why doesn't it block it? Well, that's because it's already been integrated. We have already created this year's curriculum around Common Core, but this is a good thing because now we can see it from the teacher's perspective on the issue. Now back to the article. Opponents call it a federal takeover of education. They say parents were never consulted on the standards, which were forced on teachers too abruptly. Common Core proponents say it establishes uniform benchmarks that can put America on a level educational playing field with other countries. Now, in my opinion, if you're not adding 3 more languages, don't give me that crap. What countries are they talking about? Kenya? This article also goes on to state that the issue is expected to be debated when the legislature convenes January 7th in Jackson. Let's hope that we can have an honest discussion about these things and parents can be more informed of what's going on, and maybe we can get some of this political correctness taken out of school. Now let's go over what's actually in that executive order. It states that Mississippi and its local public school districts shall determine public school standards and curricula. Mississippi shall select statewide assessments, and local school districts may implement additional assessments to monitor academic process. That's really good. That gives us the opportunity to make our own assessment tests or however we want to assess the children instead of being mandated by the federal government to do it a certain way. There is no federal law or any federal money received to encourage Mississippi to adopt any uniform nationwide academic standards, curricula, or assessments. So basically you cannot bribe Mississippi. And there are a lot of states actually all states are being bribed. Mississippi is under no obligation to comply with any future federal mandates for uniform academic standards, curricula, or assessments. The collection of test data and other student information pertaining to academic performance will not violate laws that protect student and family privacy, and this has become a problem with the Common Core. Especially when you ask about your parents' political beliefs or if you're asking whether they have a gun in the house. Those things are private, and they're not for the federal government to know, and they're not for the teacher to pass on. Federal education decisions will not violate constitutional rights of Mississippi school children and their families. So standing up for the constitutional rights of Mississippians. And the last slide, as homeschool students are not bound by K through 12 academic standards set by the Mississippi Department of Education. And they shouldn't be subject to academic standards set by the federal government either. And this is really a win for homeschoolers because it gives the parents the ultimate authority, if they choose to, guide their children through their educational process. Now that we know what this executive order does, let's ask some of the questions that other people aren't asking. And let's get to the meat of this issue here. Now, why did the governor have to issue an executive order? If it's in the Constitution, shouldn't it be law? This hasn't stopped federal encroachment in several different departments of all the states. The feds have learned how to bribe the states, and they're very good at it. Is this order even legal by the Mississippi State Constitution? Actually, yes. Now, the governor cannot modify existing laws or create new laws by executive order, but he does have the power to modify how expenses are spent or how some of the existing departments function. Is this state nullification? Yes, in the sense that we are getting federal regulations out of the way, but not really. The result will cause Mississippi to use a form of charter schools which will compromise on regulations to give parents a better choice. This is hardly nullification, but it is a step in the right direction. It is showing the federal government, hey, we are going to assert our rights here, and we're going to use them. Personally, I don't think we need an executive order to reassert our rights as a state, but if it makes progress towards restoring the 10th Amendment of the Bill of Rights, then it is a good thing. The last and most important thing that we need to be saying about this conversation is that Common Core is unconstitutional. If Romney had been elected president, do you think he should have been able to, force his ideals in the educational system? No way. Imagine, if you will, every 4 to 8 years we elect a new president, or the power shifts in the Senate or the House. Could the flip-flopping political correctness back and forth like that so often, because they would always be changing out what type of political ideology the kids are learning, is that healthy for our kids and their grades? That would be ridiculous, and there are checks put on the government to guard against that type of ridiculousness, and we just don't enforce them yet. We should not let politicians have this kind of power anyways. The power of education belongs in the most local and responsible level possible. That means the parents, then the teachers, then the school board, then the state government, and the federal government really shouldn't have any kind of say-so because it shouldn't go that far. But right now the federal government has a lot more say-so than the state government and the school board and the teacher, and the parents hardly have any say-so at all these days. So we have flipped the power structure on its head with this whole federal government monopoly bull crap. They should not fund it or direct how it administers history, math, or any other subject or activity at these schools. Furthermore, we should get rid of the federal funding and the taxes associated with that. The Constitution reads, "We the people." And it is time that we breathe life back into that old document because it's ready for redeployment. It's waiting for us to take the reins and rein in the power of tyranny. Check out some of my previous videos on the shocking new revelation of Bitcoin, America's historical purge, which is happening now, and patriot terrorists. Be sure you know how to position yourself financially, which I cover in my video, Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Precious Metals During the Dollar Decline. My friends, once you see what is happening, you can prepare to deal with it. Until then, listen in.